What's up, everybody? It's your girl Megan, Show Up Fitness instructor, and today I'm going to be going over Chapter 7 of the NASM textbook. Now, this chapter is when most trainers start to question whether or not they're going to pass NASM. And if you're trying to read Chapter 7 by yourself, it can be really hard. But that's why you show up, because we've helped over 5,000 people pass this thing in less than 30 days, and most importantly, become qualified, successful personal trainers for life. If this is your guys' first time tuning in, remember that we do have our podcast. If you leave us a 5-star review, we'll go ahead and give you our NASM cheat sheet for free. And of course, if you guys haven't already, you guys see there in the corner, we have How to Become a Successful Personal Trainer, Volume 2 out. There are tips and tricks in here to pass NASM, just in this book alone. So go ahead, check it out. You can get it on Amazon. But those are other resources. Part of the course are YouTubes that you're watching right now, our online course as well, an in-person course that we have in Santa Monica, as well as weekend seminars. All these resources and tools to help you guys become qualified, successful personal trainers. And of course, if you ever have questions, feel free to drop a comment below. You can email us at info@showupfitness.com. And of course, just stop by here in Santa Monica. Now today for Chapter 7 is going to be the human movement system. That's, of course, going over the nervous system, skeletal system, muscular system. And as you guys know, the NASM textbook is huge, over 700 pages long. So I'm not going to go through every single thing, but I'm going to go over the main details that you need to know in order to pass the test. And so the first one with that being is going to be going over the anatomical positions. And that's just talking about our positions on the body in reference to a point. So the first one I'm going to look at is anterior. Anterior is going to be on the front side of something. On the back side, we're going to look at posterior. Sides are going to be lateral. Inside is going to be medial. Above a line is going to be superior. Below it, inferior. You also have distal and proximal. So distal, like my hands and my feet, further away from the point of origin, versus proximal, going to be more like my chest here, my lats. So when you're taking the test, they might give you a question like, what are the glutes considered to the gastrocnemius? Well, the glutes are going to be superior compared to your gastrocnemius, your calf muscle. Next up, we're going to have planes of motion. Now this one, we're going to have 3 of them. You guys definitely need to know these, especially the name and definition of them. So we have sagittal, frontal, and transverse. In the sagittal plane, it's going to divide the body between left and right halves. So think of an imaginary line going down the middle here. And now when I raise my arms up or go up, flexion. When I bring them behind me, extension. Think of these as your most common exercises that you do in the gym, right? Squats, chin-ups, curls, leg extensions, and if I'm going up and down, back and forth, that's in the sagittal plane. In the frontal plane, we're looking at side to side. So it's going to divide the body between anterior and posterior halves. So think of, I can't go forward or backwards, I have to go side to side here. So I'm coming here at the arm, at the humerus, or at the femur. When I come out like that, it's going to be abduction when I'm going away from the body's midline. And when I come and bring it back, it's going to be adduction when I'm adding it back to the midline. Think of your side lunges. Think of your jumping jacks. Think of your pull-ups, right? Those are going to be in the frontal plane. And lastly, transverse, we're going to have pretty much everything else that we didn't hit. It's going to be talking about rotation here. So we're going to have internal rotation when we come inside, or you can see it here. You're going to have external rotation when you open up, as well as there. And they're going to also have the adduction, but horizontally. So we're going to have horizontal adduction when I'm bringing the hand once again back to the body's midline, but think of like the horizon, or horizontal abduction going away from the body's midline, but in the horizon, right? So when you're looking at those exercises, you're looking at maybe like a bench press, a push-up, horizontal adduction. When you're looking at a bent over row, or looking at reverse flies, horizontal abduction. So you guys should be very familiar with those 3 planes of motion, know the actions that go in each, like I just said, and be able to at least name an exercise like I demonstrated and talked about that you could do for each of those planes. And since we just talked about the actions that occur there, you also might see within that and those exercises, you might have to break down the type of muscles that are working during an exercise. You're not going to get a lot of this, unfortunately, on the test, but you should know at least the basics. And so looking at the bench press again, when we're looking at the bench press, it's going to be the transverse plane. And so when it comes to the test, the main things that you guys are going to have to know are going to be the agonist muscles, the synergist muscles, the stabilizing muscles, and the antagonist muscles. Agonist is going to be the main muscle that's working. This one's going to be the pec major. They'll probably just say the pecs. You're going to have the synergist. That's going to be the helping muscles, the sister muscles. So you'll have your triceps, because at the elbow there. You'll also have the anterior deltoid. And then lastly, for the stabilizers, they probably won't name all of them. They'll probably just say the rotator cuff. The stabilizers, of course, in the name, stabilize that movement. So anything upper body, you're looking at that rotator cuff. Our SUF CPTs know that there's 4 muscles that compromise the rotator cuff. It's going to be the supraspinatus, infraspinatus, teres minor, subscapularis. They're going to go ahead and stabilize our glenohumeral joint, making sure that we're doing any of our upper body lifts that's staying nice and stable and supported. So those are the main ones that you have to know for that. And lastly, of course, the antagonist. Antagonist is going to be opposite of that movement. So I have horizontal adduction going there for the pectoralis major, horizontal abduction going back, the posterior deltoid. That would be the craziest it gets into detail about the actual movement when you see it on the test. Next, something that you also have to know is the muscle actions that occur within the lift as well too. So what's happening to the muscle? Is it lengthening? Is it shortening? Is it staying the same? And so when we have the part of the lift, we're breaking it down. So if I'm doing a squat, for example, because you might see this also for the tempo when you're referring to the OPT model and whatnot. When I'm doing a squat, they'll probably have you do a stability ball squat, curl to press. But when I'm going down, I'm lengthening the muscles. That's going to be called eccentrically. When I pause here at the bottom, there's no change in muscle length. That's isometric. When I come back up, when I shorten the muscle, when I'm doing the hard part, when I want to breathe out, that's concentric. So those are the 3 parts that you'll definitely have to know if you're looking at the OPT model. Phase 1 stabilization will be a 4-2-1-1. So we'll go 4 seconds down, 1, 2, 3, 4 eccentrically, 2-second pause at the bottom, 1, 2 isometrically, 1 second up concentrically. And for some reason, they decided to add another second isometric pause at the top before you go back down through that. So just make sure for any of the lifts, once again, eccentric, lengthening of the muscle, concentric, shortening of the muscle, isometric, the muscle does not change length. And then going off of that, since we're talking about eccentric, concentric, if you heard the stretch shortening cycle, referring to plyometrics, reactive drills, looking at the jump here specifically, you're going to see it's pretty similar, but instead of isometric, there's a different term, and you guys really need to know this. It might be just a word that they give you, and you have to know the definition, or you might have to pick out the 3 correct parts. So part of a jump, we're going to come down eccentrically, and we're also going to come up concentrically. So nothing's changed there. Instead of pausing at the bottom, I'm going to rapidly load, very explosive, very quickly. That's going to be called amortization, and then I'm coming up concentrically. So for the jump, eccentric, amortization, and concentric. Those are the parts you have to know. Don't confuse that with a normal lift like I just did with the squat. Next you'll have up is either open chain versus closed chain exercise. Know the difference between those and what exercise can go in each. So open chain is going to be when your distal extremities, like I mentioned earlier, hands, feet, when they are moving throughout the movement. So for example, if it's upper body, I'm doing like a bicep curl. My hand is moving throughout that movement. If I'm doing lower body, I'm doing leg extensions. I'm doing hamstring curls. My leg, my foot is moving throughout that movement. So open chain, openly moving. Versus closed chain, that's when my distal extremities, hands, feet, are going to be fixated on the ground, on the bar. They're not moving during that movement. So if I'm doing, for example, a chin-up or a pull-up, my hand is on the bar when I'm doing the movement. My body is moving, but my hand stays fixated on the bar. That would be closed chain. Most of your lower body exercises are going to be closed chain because your feet stay on the ground. So, I'm doing a squat and whatnot. That'd be closed chain. So those ones are pretty easily. But I think most people kind of get confused with upper body. So make sure, once again, if your hands are moving throughout the movement, that is open chain. If your hands stay fixed to the bar, to the ground, they don't move, that is closed chain. And then next up, there are a lot of different vocab words that you should know. There's probably ones that are already stated that are restated in this chapter, but 3 that stick out to me are going to be the inhibitions. So knowing reciprocal inhibition, altered reciprocal inhibition, and autogenic inhibition. Just be able to point that out if they give you like an example of this is a definition, pick that right one. And then lastly, you'll see is levers. Honestly, people get so caught up on this one. Please do not, because obviously it goes into so much detail when you're talking about resistance, effort, and fulcrum. You can kind of get crazy into it, but just know the basics. You're probably even only going to get one question, if you get any question at all. First class lever is going to be a head nod. Second class lever is going to be push-up or calf raise. And then third class lever is going to be a hamstring curl. Pretty much the rest of them are third class levers. But like I said, you maybe get one question, if that, so don't stress yourself on trying to learn the exact placement of everything, because once again, we're giving guys the tips to pass this test, to move on past it fast, and go ahead and learn what you guys need to know, become qualified and successful personal trainers. So if any of this information in this video you found confusing, you want to know more of, feel free to leave a comment below so we can make another video on that. And of course, if you guys haven't already, make sure to subscribe so you don't miss out on any of the new content that we have coming out for you. And like I mentioned earlier, not only do we have these YouTubes and our podcasts, we have this gym up here in Santa Monica. We also have weekend seminars. So if you want to gain that hands-on experience, whether it's our in-person course here in Santa Monica or a different state, even maybe outside the country that we're going to this year, make sure that you do reach out to us. You can find us on Instagram, TikTok, as well as YouTube. Same handles, Show Up Fitness CPT, Show Up Fitness Internship. And remember, if you want to become a great, successful personal trainer, all you got to do is show up.